Hi everyone, welcome to a brand new episode of Women of Community Banking podcast. I've got a very special guest joining us representing Worldwide Foundation for Credit Unions and World Council for Credit Unions. She runs the Global Women's Leadership Network for both the organizations. These are partner organizations, very close, very deeply connected to our mission and vision of Women of Community Banking podcast, where we have created a platform for women leaders of credit unions and community banks to share their journey. We invited Lena to share her journey specifically of what has been her journey so far coming to the country, doing this, advocating for women leaders every single day. So Lena, I won't steal the thunder, but maybe ask you for thank you for coming into the podcast and welcome.
Thank you, Anurag, and thank you for having me. Greetings to all of our listeners. Just as Anurag mentioned, I serve as the director for the Global Women's Leadership Network. My name is Eleni Giakoumopoulos. Anurag was not bold in trying to pronounce my last name, but that's okay. And yes, I've been with Global Women's going on almost 9 years, and I've been with the World Council around 9 years as well. So just an experience and a journey. My journey did not begin in this country, actually. I did come from an immigrant family when we first moved to the United States when I was 4 years old from Greece. And I spent a large portion of my life here. And then life and your journey takes you back over to the other part of the world. I lived in northern Greece for a large part of my life as well and worked and traveled in Western, Central, and Eastern Europe. And then I've been back to the U.S. So oftentimes when I introduce myself, I tell everyone I've been an immigrant 3 times between the 2 countries. But now I'm here and at the organization. And in my journey, honestly, I've had the privilege and pleasure of working in about 30 countries in this role and my previous role. So I've come across a lot of women, different levels in their organizations, different levels of leadership. It's been truly a privilege.
I mean, Lena, let's talk about your journey, right? I mean, talking to someone who's so well traveled and has worked across so many cultures and geographies, that's itself very satisfying for me, because I usually talk to all of my guests who are focused towards US, who mainly run businesses in US and are part of credit unions in US. But getting your perspective is very fresh, because I also have a similar background coming from India, moving to Dubai, then moving to US. I've also stayed and lived and worked across different.
Well, my official training and background is in communications and global marketing, and my first years were actually in educational organizations and consultancies, and I worked in programs that were primarily across the European Union, and we worked in a lot of different areas, and that's where you truly get the sense and get to see the people where they are, right? When you do come across with them in their own locale, in their own space. And then fast forward, I would say, having different types of roles in those varying types of organizations that served not just one type of ethnicity. All the organizations I worked with did serve people from different countries and different cultures. And I think that's, I would say, the overlying, common denominator. The last place I worked at was an international finance institution that provided development projects for countries around the Black Sea region. And coming back to the US, I would say this organization here, World Council, is sort of married a lot of my previous roles, right? From the communications perspective, from the board communications liaison perspective, and the outreach to the communities. And that's where I ended up landing eventually in the role with Global Women's. I've been very, very fortunate. I was the first person hired in this organization to serve as director on staff. And it's been a journey, because it's not one day is not definitely the same as the previous. And I do have the pleasure of working with a lot of women and men and all types of genders in the organization who are here to advance women to leadership roles in the global credit union movement. And that is what we are asked to do with GWLN.
I mean, it's a very interesting organization with a very noble cause, right? I'm sure you love your job every single day. You being a woman, helping the agenda of women leadership progress. Nothing can be better than that for sure. My next question, yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. So, talking about investing in women, right? So, I think we should invest more in women leadership for sure. Looking at financial services, specifically credit unions, banks, we should definitely invest more in women leadership. That's what I feel. My question is, why does investing in women matter in credit unions? Why do you think?
Well, I mean, it's the simple and the quick answer is the bottom line. It's very good for business, period. It's good for our communities. It's good for our businesses. It's good for our families. It's good for our countries. It's good for business, period. And it's not just about investing in women so they can advance to that leadership role. In our space, in the global credit union movement, you're also talking about supporting women and investing in women when you're giving more loans to women, designing more loans that are specific for women to help women entrepreneurs, to help women in the community and business owners. So to come back to your initial question, the simple answer, it is good for business. It makes for stronger families, stronger communities when there is more money on the table, and that women are leading that charge or supporting that charge. And we all have an obligation to continue investing in women.
I'm sure. Absolutely. I mean, very well taken from this, right?
Yeah.
Now, Lena, you're someone who has worked with women leaders across the globe, right? I mean, almost you've touched all continents because you work with leaders across the globe. What is that one lesson from a different country that you think credit union leaders here should adopt, or credit union women leaders over here should hear more about?
That's a tough one, but I think one of the things that often we mistake in maybe the US system sometimes is we assume we know everything and we know how to do everything well and we're doing it well, right? And I think it's not just a lesson from one country. I would say it's a lesson from many countries is listen to your global peers, because you can take from what they are doing in their communities and what they are doing in their organizations to learn and actually improve what you're doing. You can learn from other countries and cultures. And I think that's very, very important. So not just one country, I would say for many countries, right? You have to be open to learn and adapt and be flexible, because there may be a better way of approaching something somewhere else that you perhaps aren't thinking of in your organization.
Oh, absolutely. What do you think is the biggest barrier that is still holding women back in the industry, and what are we actually doing to break it? Because I can think of like 4 or 5 barriers. What is that one according to you?
Well, this is one of the biggest questions that we get through GWLN. And honestly, it depends how you see it, right? You say the barrier is actually a challenge, and how do you turn it into an opportunity? There's differing opinions here. A few years ago, we did some research with Global Women's, and one of the findings was that actually women don't advocate enough for themselves. We're wonderful about advocating for other women and other peers in our space, but we don't advocate as much as we should for ourselves. However, the conflict to that, or the alternative to that, is actually the system is what is the biggest barrier, right? We need major changes to systems, right? There are societal and cultural norms that are barriers in some countries that don't exist in others. It's not that I can't advocate for myself, it's that the system doesn't help me progress or move forward. And in some cases, there are leaders who are saying, you need to actually change the entire system to offer more opportunities for women. I think it's a combination of everything. That's what I've seen through our work. And you have to be able to understand that if you want to speak up and use your voice and advocate for yourself, right, and make your voice heard, because many times I preach this through Global Women's, I say use your voice, but make your voice heard. You have to be very comfortable in making the other people uncomfortable in hearing what you have to say. And that is part of making a big systemic change. Right. And oftentimes others are not ready to hear that. So you need to speak up, make your voice heard, and know that others may not be comfortable hearing what you have to say. So I understand that there are the standard, barriers that we have across the board, right? From family, different less opportunities are given elsewhere. Women step aside because they are, the individuals who bear the children. The caretaking responsibility is tremendous in many, many countries and cultures and falls on the hands of women. So all of those pile up, but I think it's a combination. So there isn't just one. What are we doing? Well, we are speaking them, we are reminding everyone of them, and we are seeking to support each other to continue taking these barriers, if we want to call them that, and keep turning them into challenges and into more opportunities for us. Women supporting women is very important, and sometimes I even see that in our work. It's not the way it should be, right? So I guess a combination of things. To answer your question, it's hard to give one simple answer.
Because even I'm making notes, right? I mean, I'm looking down, I'm making notes. These are interesting points. These are actually thought-provoking points that I talked about. It's very deep.
It is.
So, Lena, what does it take to build a very strong pipeline of women leaders, right? I mean, it's not easy to make and sustain, to develop and sustain both of them. What does it take?
Well, it takes the combination of things, right? It takes an open line of communication with leadership or your immediate supervisor, if you will, or your immediate leadership team, and saying, right, where are we going in the next few years? It takes seeking who those individuals are in your organization that you know are going to benefit and are going to benefit from, and also the organization is going to benefit, actually cultivating them, grooming them, actually giving them the opportunities. And it is also a persistence and a patience and a commitment from the individuals themselves, right? I've been in sessions where I've heard women say that I seek the promotion, I didn't get it year one. I seek the promotion, I didn't get it year two. And then they quit, right? Or they decided to move on because this organization was not giving them that. And they saw someone else who wasn't a female leader, getting the promotion. And it's a challenge. So we need to be aware. We need to see that we have to offer the same opportunities, but we also ourselves as women have to seize those opportunities and ask for them and be not pushy, ask for them, because we're going to go down the path of the double standard. Oh, if the woman asks for it, she's pushy, whereas the man, no, he's just confident. No, that's not how it goes. And I don't want to get into the gender argument here, because there are a lot of amazing leaders across all genders, but we need to be responsible for ourselves and we need to keep asking. And we need the system also to be offering those opportunities to us. And unfortunately, even in the US still, especially in the credit union system, you're still not seeing this. You're not seeing it at the board level, right? You're seeing fewer women. You're not seeing it at the CEO level, right? The CEOs who are leaders in the U.S. system are CEOs of smaller credit unions, right? We have fewer who are CEOs of the large size credit unions. And again, I'm coming back to the U.S. because this is where we are currently. However, you see some amazing things happening across the globe from other women who, just pushed forward and were given the opportunity and took the opportunity. So we do have to combine everything.
Yeah. Can we pivot back to you a bit and talk about some good things about you? I mean, about which we are very proud of. Firstly, congratulations on the first ever Pink Gem Award in Stockholm. We are really proud about that. You want to talk about that? What was what was the award about? What was it? How did you feel about it?
Thank you. I was very taken aback and truly a very humbling experience, because I think it's not about us getting the awards or the accolades. It's about being recognized by the community you serve. The award was given by the entire global women's community. And again, I am the person representing this network currently. I've been very privileged to work with a lot of women beforehand, our founding chair, other volunteer chairs, our advisory group, right? I'm surrounded by a lot of people who volunteer their time, their talent, and their treasure to support Global Women's because they believe. But I also just found it to be very, very humbling to be recognized by this community. And again, it isn't about the award. It is about us continuing to do the work to make the difference, to change the numbers for women in leadership in the global cooperative system, financial co-op system.
That's a huge thing, by the way. I mean, you shouldn't underplay that. That's a huge thing. Congratulations again. on that, right? So that's huge. So Lena, in the interest of time, maybe talk a couple of things more about. So you want to share a piece of advice for aspiring women leaders in credit unions. So what would that piece of advice be?
Do not be afraid. Be bold. Use your voice. Make your voice heard. And ask, and just keep asking for the next opportunity, keep seizing the next, searching for the next promotion, what that next step is. Because if you don't continue, then we're going to keep seeing the same numbers, right? We're 4 years out from UN 2030 agenda. We are very far from where we need to be in terms of gender parity and women in leadership roles, right? And the World Economic Forum tells us it's going to take 123 years to reach full gender parity. So I keep reminding everyone that everything we are doing is not just for us today, but for the future of generations, for women in leadership roles.
Elena, firstly, it was amazing shooting this episode with you, right? And you sharing your nuggets of wisdom as well as your cross-cultural experience. That's what really attracted me is your cross-cultural experience of working with multiple geographies with women leaders across the world, right? So that's been a tremendous addition to the podcast. And again, Lena, thank you for doing this for us today. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for the chance to let the global community hear us and share more about our work.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.